Right then, lads, welcome back to Kossi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kossi. Welcome back to the Evening Arsenal Show. Going to be discussing a couple of things. Oxlade Chamberlain is one of those players that have been trending today, and I think the reason is very clear. According to John Crossmira and The Sun, they are saying Arsenal is interested in bringing back Alexander Oxlade Chamberlain at the Emirates Stadium in a deal that could be initially an official loan deal for 6 months and then made permanent in the summer. We will discuss that a little bit in the show, probably at length. What are your thoughts on that? Oxlade Chamberlain coming back at Arsenal. Is it a move that makes sense to you? Is it one move that actually can materialize into something good? I would love to know from you. I would love to hear from you, definitely. But of course, Alexander Lacazette's future is also a little bit set in stone. Inter Milan are closing on, and there is talk of Lautaro Martinez crossing over from one side to the other, as well as Alexis Sanchez. But that and more in the Evening Arsenal Show. Smash a like on the video, do subscribe to the channel, and let's get this small party just started. Rather large. Welcome back to the show, and of course, welcome back to the channel. Arsenal have been linked with a shock, a shock move for Oxlade Chamberlain from Liverpool. He's one of those players that we have let go. In the in the series of exoduses, or in the past exodus, a couple of Arsenal players leaving the club and trying to create a new dimension at the club. Alexander Chamberlain is one of those players that have actually left the club. He went to Liverpool because of lack of game time, and now he wants to come back to Arsenal because of lack of game time. It's interesting, very, very interesting, because the story has actually been trending for the past 24 hours. I've seen John Crossmira is the main source of this story. And what he's saying is that Arsenal want to get Oxlade Chamberlain on an initial loan deal, 6-month loan deal in January until the end of the season. And probably they could look at getting him on a permanent in the summer. That is John Crossmira. And that's where I ask you about this move. What is your opinion about Chamberlain coming back on Arsenal? Is it a move that you think can benefit Mikel Arteta and the squad generally? Of course, we are struggling at the moment with that long-term injury of Granit Xhaka. So we want players that can actually fit in there in the squad. We want a quick fix. We want a quick solution. Can Oxlade Chamberlain be that? Can he give us that that kind of cover? Can he give us that kind of cover? In that position, probably play next to Thomas Partey or in January, because in January it's gonna even be worse. Partey will go out, with Ghana in the Africa Cup of Nations. It will either be 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It will depend. Basically, it will depend. And then you have, Elneny also going out with Egypt, still in the AFCON. So Xhaka is injured. You literally have one or two players to play in that pivot. Albusam Lokonga, probably you could improvise with Ben White. You could improvise with Callum Chambers. You could improvise with Smith Rowe or Martin Odegaard. One way or the other, Arsenal will have to get in a midfielder in January, especially someone who can play either as an anchorman or as a box-to-box. Now, we know Chamberlain can do that. He can, he can be, he's so, he's very, very versatile. He can be useful as an Ackerman. He can be useful as a box to box, and of course you could use him as a winger. And I think he predominantly played as a winger during his time at Arsenal. So joining Liverpool, I think, what was that? Around 3 or 4 years ago. I think it was a shock move and a very, very good move for the player, because he won he won the title, he won the Champions League with them. I mean, he's one of those players that are gonna count themselves lucky. You just move away from Arsenal, a struggling Arsenal, because we've struggled for around 10 consecutive years. So he has moved away from a struggling Arsenal. He's gone to a Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp, and he's won he's won two of the best titles you could ever win, at club level. The Premier League. If you have the Premier League, I just feel you could feel you've done it, right? You could feel you've done it. And then he's won the Champions League again with Liverpool. He's played He's played two Champions League finals in a space of 5 years with Liverpool, and of course, they are constantly doing well in the league. But again, the question is, where do I play? What is my role in the success of this team? I want to play football. He wants to play football, and that's the reason as to why he wants to be, to be, a part of a side that appreciates him, a side that feels is important, a side that feels he's got a role to play at the end of the day, and that could be Arsenal in January. So according to the Anfield Watch, they are saying Alex Oxlade Chamberlain fears he might have to quit Liverpool to get more regular game time. He would be reluctant to leave the Anfield, but remains ambitious and wants to play games. That's according to the Anfield Watch. Of course, quoting John Crossmira. And then FTV still quoting the same man, John Crossmira, saying Alex Oxlade Chamberlain is frustrated with his lack of playing time at Liverpool. Arsenal are reportedly interested. The Gunners want an initial 6-month loan with the option of a permanent deal. If it's true, would you like to take Alex Oxlade Chamberlain back at the Emirates Stadium? Now, the Daily Mail are actually saying Arsenal are very sure about this. They want it to happen in January. They want to, they just want to come out, and do the deal. Because we are going to be understaffed in the midfield, and I do understand this is the reason. This is the major reason as to why Arsenal have decided to go for this move. It's absolutely the major reason why Arsenal have decided to go for that move. They just want a player who fits in. They just want a player who comes in, to play in, to play in for Granit Xhaka, to fit in for Granit Xhaka and the likes of Thomas Partey. My opinion on this is, look, I've always loved Alex Oxlade Chamberlain. I thought, as a young player, he's one of those players that that I thought were going to have these magnificent careers. The same with Jack Wilshere, the same with Aaron Ramsey, the same with Vasil Kabudiabe. I think there's so many players at Arsenal that have not made it, and we thought they were going to be huge stars. They were going to be big stars. And they've just not made it. That's it. They've just not made it. For me, yes, he's won the league. He's won the Champions League with Liverpool. But if you look at his involvement, if you look at what he's done, for those sides, I think his role has been really, really minimal. I don't think he's been a key figure. I don't think he's been, he's been that central, in winning the league for Liverpool. I don't think he's been central, in winning the Champions League for Liverpool. So if Arsenal want to bring him back on loan, I definitely do not agree. I think there are way better options in January. If you want, I've talked about Dennis Zakaria. And I still think, what we want, if you want a player, you can bring in January and then probably sign on a permanent deal in the summer. Dennis Zakaria is your man, right? Maybe what Arsenal is skeptical about is in January they're losing. We are losing Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka. So Dennis Zakaria and Albert Sambi Lokonga could definitely be giving you the same thing. And Bissouma will also be out in the AFCON in January, so you cannot bring him in as a quick fix. So probably that's what they're fear. That's what they're afraid of. They want someone who's a little bit more progressive, and they want someone who can be, more of a bit of a box to box. But Alex Oxlade Chamberlain, one, let's talk about his, his injury status. He's no longer free from injuries like he was. I don't think he has ever been that kind of player that is so consistent, plays 10 games consistently, plays 11, 12 games consistently without picking up an injury or a knock. I don't think, and his playing style definitely guarantees that, because he's one of those players that love having the ball to their feet, glued to their feet, running around in the midfield and things like that. So I might not really, blame Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain for picking up, injuries. But is it the right thing for Arsenal to do? Is it the right thing for us to go out there and sign the Ox, right? And get the Ox on a loan deal in January? Is it wise? And if the deal pulls off, because I think it can pull off, we know he wants game time, and of course we know Arsenal, are desperately in need of a player. He's experienced. He's been in the Premier League. It's never going to cost you a lot of money. I don't think he's going to break into that Liverpool side anymore, or very, very soon. But there are a couple of things to look at in this in this regard. One, Liverpool will lose Mane and Salah in January as well. So they'll be left with Jota, Firmino, Curtis Jones, and Elliott as their options. I think a backup of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain in January would not hurt. So it's gonna be very, very hard for Liverpool just to just let the player go, just like that in January. Maybe if Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain puts in massive pressure, if he applies a lot of pressure, if he puts in, unbelievable pressure, if he pushes the move away from the club, because maybe he's looking at this 6 months from January as a time for him to capitalize and maybe get himself a chance in the English, World Cup squad, which I think for me is never going to happen unless otherwise. I don't see it happen. There's a lot of talent now for England, especially in the attacking positions, the likes of Saka, Grealish. You have the likes of now Watkins coming on board, Kane. Then you have the likes of Phil Foden. I don't see Chamberlain, just bailing himself out in 6 months. But you never know. Football is football. He could come at Arsenal, give us 8 goals in 6 months, and probably provide around 5 to 6 assists, and you never know, gets a place in the World Cup. Because for me, this is his last major tournament. This is his last chance to get a call in a major tournament. He's turning what, 30 or 31. So this is his last chance. The next tournament that comes up is gonna be the Euros, and then World Cup 2026. It's not going to be, I don't think he has more, time, on his calendar, especially when it comes to playing for England. So what are your thoughts on Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain? Do you take him in at Arsenal? Is he good enough? Do you think he's one of those players that deserve a chance, right? Or do you think, he actually doesn't deserve a chance? Then he says, what players do you expect to join in January? Really, at this point, it's all about looking at, the rumors and who's linked with you. You really can't say, which players are, are coming in January. But what you can think of though is we have a situation, we have demand. We need a midfielder. So I mean, it only makes sense if Arsenal go out for a midfielder. Yes, we will talk about Alexander Lacazette later, and a couple of other players. But I don't see Arsenal really go for Alexander Lacazette. Lose Alexander Lacazette in January. Inter could tie him down to a contract and then take him on a free in the summer. So I don't see Arsenal really bargaining to get in a striker. It could be a midfielder. It should be a midfielder with, Partey out, for AFCON, and then Elneny out as well for AFCON, Xhaka out with an injury. It only makes sense if Arsenal go for a midfielder. It's going to be a loan deal. That's what I suppose. At the moment, there are a couple of options we could think about. We are talking about Oxlade Chamberlain. I thought we could also talk about Dennis Zakaria and Donny van der Beek. I've already talked about Donny van der Beek, and I've already said Arsenal could use that as an opportunity. If you go out there, get a player like Donny van der Beek, that could work out. I just feel like that could work out. Yes, United are never going to let him go in January. I feel so. But like I said, with all players, Donny van der Beek has already started putting on pressure, on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United. Give me playing time or let me go, because it's now or never, right? The World Cup is closing in. The World Cup is closing in 2022. He needs the game time, right? He needs the game time. So for me, it still makes a lot of sense. World Cup Qatar is coming in. We could just try Donny. We could just try Donny. You of course you're never gonna get him on a loan deal. You'll have to splash around 50 million or 55 million on Donny van der Beek. But I just feel he's worth it. I feel he's worth it. You could play him in a 4-3-3. You could play him in a pivot. You could play him in a number 10, and it's gonna work out well. But for Oxlade Chamberlain, first and foremost, I'm very wary of his injury record. Very, very wary of his injury record. But even away from that, let alone the injury record and things like that, you look at going back to earlier stages. We let go of Oxlade Chamberlain to Liverpool, and I think it was an advantage. We got good money in that move, around 30 million, 35. It was good money, and it was good business. I don't see how we bring him back. I don't need him to come back. I think we just need someone who's better. Go for Dennis Zakaria. You could use him in the summer. You could sign him up in the summer, and it could be a very, very fresh signing for Arsenal. And even if Xhaka and Partey play regularly, I don't think Dennis Zakaria will spend 2 years on the bench for Arsenal. I think in the summer Xhaka might go, or next season Xhaka might go. He might leave the club, and that's gonna be it. So for me, Oxlade Chamberlain, not a bad player, but I'm just skeptical. I'm just absolutely skeptical about Arsenal bringing him back. Right? I hope Watkins could get a chance at the Emirates Stadium. Thanks, bro. Love the presentation. Thank you so much, Dennis. But look, in January, I don't see Arsenal going for a striker. Yes, the links are there, and I will continue just providing, insights and reports of who's been linked with the club. There's no way I see Arsenal going for a striker like Oli Watkins, right? Fabrizio Romano has just put out, I think this is 5 hours ago, he's just put out a tweet about Andrea Belotti's situation with Torino, and he has said that Andrea Belotti has chances to leave Torino as a free agent next summer. As things stand up now, he's out of contract in June 2022, and he has not accepted yet the last Torino proposal to extend his current deal. So unless we take advantage of such situations, maybe you have players like Andrea Belotti, contract runs down in the summer, so Torino will love to get any cash, right? Any cash around 10, 15, 20 million or 25. I don't really rate Andrea Belotti. I know many people do rate Andrea Belotti, but I don't. I don't rate him. I don't rate him that much, like many people do. So, if I'm talking about a striker. Yes, Aubameyang is gonna go out, but I think Lacazette is gonna fit in, and then Gabriel Martinelli in January. I don't see Arsenal really forcing for a striker unless you have this very open opportunity that's gonna manifest itself, and then boom, Arsenal just open up, and go for. Andrea Belotti or anyone whose contract is running down. I don't see Oli Watkins in January. I don't see Calvert-Lewin in January. I don't see Ivan Toney in January. They're good strikers. I would love them to join right away, right at the start of the year, because for me, we still have goal scoring issues. We still have goal scoring problems. And even if we get Alex Oxlade Chamberlain in January, it doesn't solve anything for me. It doesn't solve anything. Arsenal are still very, very bland. You need a striker that is, really a striker. You need, you need creative, creative players to be a little bit more sharper. You need to play at a sharper pace. I don't see how Alex Oxlade Chamberlain magnificently improves us in getting the goals. Right, so we might need a striker like Ivan Toney, because for me, I just feel Toney is a bully. He's a good player. He could help you bully off player, bully off defenders and things like that. However, I don't see that happen in January. Now, the other story I'd love to discuss is is definitely about Alexander Lacazette, right? Zina says, I'm just getting tired of Arsenal news. I mean, you don't need to get tired of Arsenal news. You can never run away from news. Now, Inter Milan are said to be closing on Alexander Lacazette. They want to tie him down on a free deal. And then probably take him for free in the summer. So in January, what's going to happen? In January, Alexander Lacazette will have the freedom. He will have, he will have the liberty, the permission to talk to, clubs as a free agent that could take him, could take him in the summer just for free. So Inter is one of those clubs that want to take advantage of the situation. And I'm gonna say, for both ends, Alexander Lacazette and Inter Milan, is going to be a very good move. It's absolutely going to be a very, very good move. They're going to get a very good striker that I think will fit in Italy, and the way because I think it's Inter is a quality side. The way they were feeding Lukaku. Look, I don't think Lacazette has evolved like Romelu Lukaku. I just don't think he's evolved as like Romelu Lukaku has. But I just believe if they take him and probably keep Lautaro Martinez, at the Giuseppe Meazza or San Siro, it will make a lot of sense. Because I still feel they lack that Romelu Lukaku effect. Yes, they've signed in the likes of Joaquin Correa. They've kept Lautaro Martinez. They have Edin Dzeko now. But I think if they get Alexander Lacazette, top striker though, it just feels like he's not done it at Arsenal. And look, that doesn't take away, that doesn't take away anything from him, right? That doesn't take away anything from him. Fazali, how are you doing, Fazali? I think the fact that he's not done, these double figures per season at Arsenal, it might not take away anything from him. I think he's done at Arsenal. I don't think more chances are coming, and I don't think he deserves more chances. But you never know. Let him go to Inter Milan and try something else. I think Inter will have done very good business, and I think Alexander Lacazette will have done good business as well. He's gonna get 2 years or 3 years at Inter Milan. I think there he can record double figures. I mean, it's not very easy to score in Italy, but I think he can bully them. I think he can bully them, and the quality of players Inter Milan have, the likes of Nicolo Barella. I think he can blend in and have a couple of couple of chances that go. He's gonna be a main man there. He's never gonna be a main man at Arsenal ahead of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. So for me, it only makes sense if Alexander Lacazette leaves the club in January. It absolutely makes a lot of sense for me. But talking about Lacazette leaving the club, Arsenal are now looking at who replaces him, right? And look, I'm saying this, and I'll say it again. I think we should have let him go in the summer. If anyone was offering us any money, we should have let him go. We should have, we should have just let Alexander Lacazette go in the summer. Now that nobody's offering us money, what do we have to lose? We've got to look at the potential replacement, and the replacement of Alexander Lacazette shouldn't be one that backs up Aubameyang, but should be one that for me shakes Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. That is that is the story. That is the story for me. He should be a player that shakes Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, not one that backs up Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, right? Not one, but one that just shakes the bones of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Because if you look, let me give an example. If you brought in a player like Ollie Watkins or DCL or Ivan Toney, definitely they've got that ability to become your number one. But if you brought in a player like Danny Ings, who's aging, it's just gonna be a backup, right? So I think what Arsenal need now is a player that is in line to become Arsenal's number one striker, and that could be anyone. Not really in the couple of names you could get in January, like Dusan Vlahovic. Fiorentina still struggling to tie him down to a new contract, right? So I think Dusan Vlahovic could work if you want a striker in January. I think as well another striker you could get in January. Look, I don't rate Andrea Bellotti. I really don't rate Andrea Bellotti, but he's available. He could be available in January as well. You could try Erling Haaland, though. Of course, I'm absolutely kidding. But in the summer, a couple of clubs will want to trigger the release clause of Erling Haaland, and it's just 75 million, right? Edu said Arsenal will start spending the money in the coming summers, in the coming transfer windows. So probably in the summer, get that release clause triggered, 75 million pounds, and we are over the top competing with Newcastle. So two players have been linked with with Arsenal today as potential replacements of Alexander Lacazette. Number one is a swap deal for Alexis Sanchez, and for me that is absolute crap. That is absolute crap. Look, it might not be the worst the worst signing ever in football. It might not be the worst gamble, but why bring back Alexis Sanchez? Why? It's something that, look, nostalgically, you want him to come back. He's had great times at Arsenal. He's had very, very good times at Arsenal. But he doesn't add add anything new. We want something new. He doesn't give me anything new. He doesn't. And I'll say it again. He doesn't give me anything new. He doesn't. So Alexis Sanchez swap deal for Alexander Lacazette. Yes, one of them is living on a free. Peace, love. How are you doing? Says Brentford striker Yen Wissa. Wissa's just scored. I think if I'm look, Peace. Now says, Kostas, what do you think about Wissa? He reminds me of Thierry Henry and Sadio Mane. Big up though. Big up, Peace, love. Big up in the chat. Look, let me tell you something. That guy looks like Vasil Kabu Diaby, by the way. If I'm going to take two players from Watford this season, I'll take their goalkeeper David Raya, right? I'll take their goalkeeper David Raya, and I'll also take Ivan Toney. If I'm going to pick a third player from Brentford, it is Brian Wemo. Those are the three players I think at the moment. Those are the three players I could take: Brian Wemo, Ivan Toney, and David Raya, goalkeeper. Those are the three players I'll take. Wissa, it's not bad. He's got a very, very, very beautiful goal against Liverpool. He's got a stunner, powerful shot against West Ham. They won it 3-2, dying minutes. Yeah, the excitement is there. He's got the news around him. I don't take him. I wouldn't take him. The same way I don't take Alexis Sanchez. He's done his magic at Arsenal. It's over. The good times are over. It's now time to face reality. Is he good enough? Do we need to bring him back? I don't think so. I definitely don't think so. But I think he was a good player. I think he was a good player. I could give him a statue on Arsenal. I could give him a statue, but I will never bring him back. I'll definitely never bring him back. So Pislav, Wissa, no. Wissa, no. Yeah, you say, he reminds you of Thierry Henry and Sadio Mane. For me, no, not not anywhere close to that. But speaking about good players, the other player that has been linked with Arsenal to replace Alexander Lacazette is Lautaro Martinez. And I've seen that story as linked again as a potential swap deal, and it makes sense for me. Yeah, it absolutely makes some sense for me if Arsenal went out and got Lautaro Martinez in a swap deal with Alexander Lacazette. We've got nothing to lose. We've got nothing to lose. Did he renew his contract? I think he did. Just a minute. Right. Thank you so much. Right. So Lautaro Martinez, we've been linked with Lautaro in the summer, and we all know how that went down. Right. We all know how that went down. It was not the best. It wasn't the best. There were no pleasant aromas with that. A lot of speculation, a lot of hyping. News telling us that Arsenal were finally getting this over the top, beating Tottenham, and we had a big war. I'm just even thinking, did we even try to bid for Lautaro Martinez? Did Spurs even try to go for Lautaro Martinez? Because they were just adamant. They never wanted to lose Harry Kane, right? So to think about it and to genuinely talk about it, Lautaro Martinez is a top striker, good striker. He's never come into Arsenal. He wants Champions League. There's so many clubs that want a player like Lautaro. I think he's a perfect fit for Manchester City. If Gabriel Jesus can do it there, I think Lautaro Martinez will. I think he will. And after losing Kun Aguero, I think if they just get Lautaro Martinez, he's got the build of Kun. He misses chances, sitters that Kun wouldn't, but he's still young, 24. By the time he's 27, he could be one of the most lethal strikers in the world. So you think about Newcastle, who've got the money. You think about Manchester City, who want a striker. United will want a striker next summer, or this summer or next summer. I will have to see, what happens. What happens there? I think Barcelona will want Lautaro as well, and Real Madrid. So the chances of Arsenal luring Lautaro Martinez are very slim, because now you're fighting with big, giant economic forces in the market. Let alone, apart from fighting those big and giant economic forces in the market, you're also fighting these well placed, well decorated clubs that do have Champions Football, Europa League, and a couple of other accolades. So I think Arsenal will have to wait with Lautaro Martinez. Hello, Kosi. How are you doing, Jero? Hope you're doing well. Kosi, Lautaro Martinez instead of Sanchez to let Lacazette to Inter Milan. But I think, look, Inter Milan are not fools. Inter Milan are not fools. And if I'm Inter, it's now I'm giving you Lautaro Martinez for Alexander Lacazette, because I know I can get Lacazette on a free in the summer. I'm getting Lacazette on a free in the summer. Why would I rush? Why would I rush my decision, to be duped? Because for me, if you give them Lacazette and then they give you a Lautaro, in kind of swap deal, and you add the money, you're duping them. They can take Lacazette on a free and then give you a chance to sign Lautaro Martinez for 77 million. And I think in the summer, they're going to be around 5 players, 5 strikers that will attract a lot of attention, and they're going to attract big money moves. Lautaro Martinez is one of them. Wait for that. Harry Kane is another. Wait for that. Oli Watkins is another. Wait for that. Erling Haaland is perfect for that. Wait for that. And I think I think Saka could also be one of those. He's not a striker though, but he could be one of those players that are going to attract a lot of big money. I think at the end of the day, Arsenal will keep him, but there might be a lot of pressure in: do we keep him or do we actually let him go? So in the end, I think we are not going for a striker in January. I'll be absolutely amazed if we get a striker in January, and I will be outplaced if we do not get a midfielder, if we do not do midfield reinforcements this January. My name is Kosi. Thanks everybody for watching in. Smash a like on the video if you enjoyed the content, and I'll speak to you very, very soon.